Welcome to Everyday Parenting, a down to earth podcast presented by Bricks and Blocks Coaching. Tune in as we dive into the real life experiences of parents. Today, we are joined by two wonderful young moms, Sowji and Annette. They are here to share their experiences and insights about going back to work. Hi, Sowji. Hi, Annette.
Hi.
Hi, Shweta.
So, how does it feel going back to work after leaving your newborn? Sauji, you've been 4.5 months into the game. So, how does it feel going back to work?
Okay, so if I think about the time when I had to start work, right, back from maternity leave, I was actually in great contemplation. So after 2 months itself, I started contemplating, should I extend my leave or am I ready to go back? Then I thought, even before starting maternity leave, right? So I was like, we have 4 months of leave here. So I was thinking, would 4 months be sufficient or do I ask for extension at that point? Then I thought, okay, let's start. I mean, once we are within the period, right? Maternity period or after post delivery, then I'll know better, then I'll decide. After 2 months, I still didn't have a clue what to do, as in whether I had to extend or go back, because I was feeling like both. At times, I was like feeling so overwhelmed with the baby, and I thought I cannot leave the baby, or I don't think I can go back to work now.
It sounds so much like my mom as well, right? So, I asked my mom the same question, should I quit? And she's like, why would you quit? It's very easy to take care of an infant. Wait till they become teenagers. That's when you should have this question. How about you, Annette? You're just 2 weeks into the work.
I know. I think it's been very challenging actually, like going back to work after 2 weeks, right? Same like Soji, I didn't know whether I should go back to work. And I think it's very typical for Asian moms, like, no, you need to go back to work, you need the money, da 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 da, all that kind of stuff, right? Um, but I was definitely contemplating whether or not I should go to work, whether I can extend my leave and all that kind of stuff. We just hired a nanny, so she comes in to my house 9 to 5. She helps me with the household stuff and the baby and stuff. So that's been a bit more manageable, but it's still very challenging because being a mom is really a full time job. Like, my baby goes to sleep every 2 hours, 1.5 hour to 2 hours, right? And in that 1.5, you still need to change the baby, feed the baby, and all that kind of stuff. And because I'm breastfeeding, so it's not something the nanny can do, right? So in that 1.5 hours, 2 hours, you still need to work, you still need to breastfeed. Um, so yeah, I'm still trying to find a good balance, trying to juggle it all because I thought I could do it all. Obviously, I can't do it all, but yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's challenging, but you find inner strength as a mom. That's what I've realized. You got some superpower, inner strength to survive with 3 4 hours of sleep and crack on with the day.
That's brilliant. Okay, I'm just wondering if you did not have the constraint of money, would you have gone back to work?
No, I would have been staying at home with my baby and just playing with her, educating her, spending all that time with her, and creating all these memories with her. Because to me, she's only this age for so long. She's only gonna wanna nap in my arms for so long. After that, she's gonna be like, "Okay, bye, mom. I wanna go be with my friends. I don't need you anymore." I mean, she still needs me, but you know, in that sense, yeah.
Hmm.
So if money wasn't a constraint, I wouldn't have gone back to.
Okay, so then what do you tell yourself every day when you are logging in for work?
I have no choice. But I mean, I tell myself, I still get to spend time with her. I'm still lucky enough to be able to spend time with her. I'm still lucky enough to be able to be at home with her, you know. And we are fortunate enough to live in a country where help is, I would say, accessible and not overly expensive, like in the Western countries, right? Where if you want help, it's very hard to get.
Hmm. Sauji, did you have these conflicting feelings like after going back to work?
Of course, yes, because I mean, leaving the baby, right? Mothers will always have that guilt feel. I mean, what am I doing? Why? I mean, should I? I'm leaving the baby back home and I'm going to work. Is it the right thing to do or not? Should I be with the baby? Why am I going after work? So, of course, you'll have all the contemplations and guilt feel for sure. I mean, So yes, I do have that as well. But then if we think about a little broader perspective, right? As in after 2 years, I mean until 2 years, yes. But after 2, 3 years, they'll get super busy with playing or going out of school, and then as they grow, they'll get even more busier. And then if we have kind of this break at this point in time, it will be difficult for us to get back to work later. So, to your question, right, the contemplation or the guilt, of course, yes. But still, if you think about little long term, probably this could be the right choice.
In this day and age where we are talking about women coming back after a break and people are having career breaks, so if a mom actually wanted to take a break, do you think it's difficult to get back to work after a maternity break?
No, I see. I don't think it's impossible to get back after a break, right? At home, I did hear from some of my colleagues as well this point, so I'm talking from their on their behalf, since I do not have that experience, right? They are the moms who actually took break and came back to work after that. And when I was talking to them casually during like lunch conversations, saying that I was actually contemplating, they were actually saying that what I made was a good choice. And though they are back to work, they were like again restarting was actually a challenge. So once you are at home for quite some time, then you yourself will have that kind of lower in confidence to start back to work, to join the workforce. It's not like someone else is stopping you, but you yourself in your mind will be thinking, things would have changed. Will I be capable enough? Am I the same? Can I do it? Can I compete? So you'll have all sorts of questions in your mind actually. If you are through that, and if you're strong, I mean, if your will is super strong and if you can pass through that, then yes, there will be opportunities. And I think there are companies which are offering specially for mothers to come back and join the workforce, right? So yes, it's not impossible.
What do you think of this, Annette? Like moms taking a break and like coming back to work?
I think it will be difficult, like agreeing to what Sariji said, right? It's gonna be difficult to kind of acclimatize yourself back to the environment, right? Because you don't know what has happened in the 1 2 years I took a break. Even in 3 months that I took the maternity leave, so much has changed. You try to understand everything again, and you meet all these new people again. Then you have to find new working ways to work with these people. And that sort of stuff. But it's not impossible. It's just a lot more hard work. You kind of have to think of yourself as starting again from ground zero if you were to go back into what we would typically call a traditional workforce, right? Whereas if, let's say, you're a mom and you want to go back to work, right? But you start your own thing, maybe in that 2 years you took a break, you decided there's a gap or whatever in the market and you want to do something different, do your own thing, then I think that would not be as, it would still have its challenges, but you determine and you dictate the way you want to work.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is basically that the corporate life is not kind to moms who take a break. In fact, what I hear from Sauji is more like moms are not kind to themselves when they are
Hmm.
taking these breaks. Yeah. So what can be done? Like, this whole being torn between careers and spending time with the babies and this guilt. What can be done?
I don't have an answer like at this point, as in what can be done. It's all up to, like, again, mom's choice maybe. See, at least, right? So to what Annette said, she has to come back and work at this point to meet the family ends meet, right? Let's say for me, if I go back to India, I mean, currently, I'm living in out of India, right? So if I go back to India, then probably I can actually as well choose not to work. It's not a compulsion for me to work. But then, as I said, after 2 years, when kids are grown up and they're going away, if you're sitting idle at home instead of like starting something on of your own, as again what Anand was saying, if you are planning to start something of your own and getting busy there, that's okay. Otherwise, if you're sitting home, um, I'm not saying sitting home is easy. Doing all the household chores is not easy, but it's again our choice, right? Do I want to do only that, or do I want to do something else on top
Hmm.
of it? So that's the only thing. I think it's all mom's choice at the end and family's
Family's
decision.
decision, yeah.
So
So that's an interesting
yeah,
idea that Annette has given, right? So in addition to looking at the baby, what is it that we can do to fill our time and like still be in touch with the working world, whether it is in a corporate
yep,
life or doing something on your own to at least keep yourself in tune with what's happening in the
exactly.
modern world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
what
yeah.
can companies do to make moms feel easy to come back to work? Like you join back the same company, and yet you feel the integration phase is a little difficult. So, what can companies do to make this easier?
In a sense, for companies, I think you have to be very transparent with your bosses, right? To kind of just, and you expect them to be transparent with you, like, hey, you need to let me know what's happened since I've left, what hasn't happened. Like, if this didn't work out, tell me why it didn't work out, or tell me it didn't work out, instead of like, oh, you come back and so here's what we need you to crack on, instead of not letting us know what happened while you were away. They kind of expect us to ignore the part where we've been on leave and then you just crack on with the now and the future when you don't really know the past history. So I think,
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
when you're back to work, you're back to work. It can't be that immediate jump, right? From
yeah,
from being on a maternity break to immediately jumping onto the work. So there needs to be a kind of induction process
yes.
to get back into work.
Yeah, so kind of like a new employee, right? But just that you kind of have to treat them in a sense where they've already been in your company. They kind of know some sort of what has been going on, but maybe not in detail, not in depth. So I think as a company, as an employer, as a boss, you kind of just need to let them know what has happened and why it happened. So that even if you go to, let's say, your business partners, you don't go in sounding like an idiot, for lack of better terms. That you don't know anything that happens. Like, oh, by the way, oh, really? Is it? I didn't know this happened. You know what I mean? Um, so, yeah, you need to give them a background.
Yeah. How was your experience, Sauji?
My experience has been pretty pleasant, I would say, starting back work, because I'm from services industry. I'm from consulting background. So since we work in project setting, right? So it's not the same thing that I have to start and or continue and go back to the same thing again. Every time it's new for me. So always it's new for me. Like even if it's not maternity, I go to a different industry or go to a different client after a short period of time, maybe 4 months, 6 months, or right. So after that, I'll again go back. So it's kind of it did not change for me in that perspective. So once I was back again, I'm on a different project.
Okay. So if it's a project-based kind of environment, I would assume, it's one project is finished, you took a break and then moved on to the next product. So the transition is pretty much business as usual.
Exactly. So transition is always there. So it's not the same thing that you will do every day. So it's only for a short period of time, whatever you do. So exactly, the 4 months is kind of maybe this is another project that I was on during maternity, and then I'm back to another project at work.
Okay. How would you build the support systems to ensure easing back to work gets easy?
Okay, I did not mention about my support until now, right? So, but I do have a full-time helper taking care of the baby, and I would say without that support, definitely I wouldn't have gone back to work. I cannot. So, support system is very, very important. Either it could be from parents or in-laws or a helper.
And that you mentioned getting a nanny to help you out. What other support systems have you put?
I think my other support system would definitely be my parents. That's number one. And I think also, I feel like a support system does not necessarily always need to be family. It could be in the form of friends or colleagues and all that kind of stuff, right? And I'm still trying to, you kind of have to really trust your support system to kind of build that trust, especially when this person is an outsider. But apart from also helping around the house, support system also comes in the form of friends where you kind of also need to lean on them for mental health support, right? Or I don't know, breastfeeding support, or friends who already have kids, who already have experience, and they will tell you that they will always be the ones to tell you that it kind of gets better. This sleep regression is a phase, and or maybe you can even get some tips and tricks from them, right, on how to soothe your baby, what's best to do, or Like I recently asked, what did I ask? Mosquito repellent to buy for a baby. You know, these are people that would know these kind of things. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna like. I can't be spraying a mosquito repellent that I spray on myself on the baby, right? Like, how would I know? Um,
Yeah.
so support system is very very different, and I think you need different pillars for different things that you need in life as a mom to really for your own sanity. Like you need to feel like you are not alone. You need to feel like you are not going insane, that you can rely on someone to really be there to help you, to catch you when you fall, be it your husband, your parents, your friends, your nanny, or it's very different. So you need different pillars for different pillars of your life as a mom.
That's so beautifully said. You just need to build different pillars of support for yourself, for different needs. One
Yeah.
person, you can't expect one person to be your support system, but it's a system as such.
Yes.
Very well said. Yeah. So, what would be some advice that you would give to new moms who are contemplating going back to work after their paternity leave?
You have to be very kind to yourself. Be very, very, very patient with yourself. For me, is to not really restrict my time as a mom, as an employee, right? Because you have to learn to be so flexible, right? Things can happen anytime. Like, Shweta, like suddenly you have to go to the hospital because, your baby just needs that. And you always have to remind yourself that, work can always be found. If your company employer doesn't see it the way you see it or doesn't gel with your values right now, you can always go and find your job. For me, my baby is my first priority, and if my company can't see that, then I'm sorry. But you just have to be very kind to yourself, be very patient with yourself, and to give yourself grace and time to integrate yourself back in, right? So to just be very kind to yourself, I think that's the number one thing.
Sauji, what would be the advice you give to new moms who are coming back?
Everyone can be unique, right? You don't have to do what others have done, or you don't have to go back to work because someone else have done it. Everyone can be unique. You just need to listen to what you want or what you need and act accordingly. So that would be one advice I would give. I mean, you don't have to follow anyone. So you just have to think about yourself and the baby, what works best for you and your family.
Yeah. With that note, let's close our podcast for today. Okay. Uh, Thank you so much, Annette and Sauji, for joining us today and sharing your experiences. I hope our audience connects with your journey and builds their own support systems. Before we wrap up, don't forget to subscribe and share our content with other parents. We'd love to hear your stories, so reach out to us at bricksandblockscoaching.com. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Shweta, a parent coach, and this is Everyday Parenting. See you next time.